What's up, guys? We are back with another video. This time, North America League play predictions. And this one's going to be a doozy. This offseason, we'll talk about this a little bit for the Europe ones as well, but it's just, this offseason, we just don't know, right? We have a lot of teams coming back. We only have 40% with roster moves, and the other 60, are staying together. There were some crazy results last season, finally, for North America, where we haven't really seen the big three falter at all before this past season. Then, obviously, Cloud9 G2 go to the promotion tournament. They turn it around there, and they're back for this season. But that leaves the question of, where do you put them in these predictions? Where do you put all these roster moves in predictions? So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to list them 1 through 10. No records here because I feel like, what's really the point of putting energy at 8-1 compared to a 9-0? It doesn't really matter. They're number one, right? It doesn't matter. So let's get this started, and we'll talk about my reasoning going into this. So, my number 10 team, the team that will get automatically relegated to the rival series with the new expansive season, with the new way people promote and demote to the rival series. Number 10 automatically demotes, will be Flight. My second best roster move from NA in Europe. I still don't think it's enough for these guys to get out of the basement here. I do think Memory brings a little bit of leadership here. I don't see it. I'm a Seabass fan. I'll say that right now. I've been wanting him to make a run back after, Allegiance kind of disbanded and Illusion got the spot on Ghost rather than Seabass, which I thought was the wrong move back then. And, he's flirted around with some other teams. It just really hasn't worked out. He finally made it in under RBG, but it was a little bit more of a Cinderella story. They weren't supposed to make it out of their playoffs, but they won where they needed to. They replaced Aeon, though, with Memory, and I do think that is an upgrade, but I think this was always going to be an uphill battle for this team going into the season. It just feels like that with the expanded season, there's going to be some teams that I think are slightly outclassed. Not saying hugely, but I do think Flight is one of those teams, even with Memory on the roster. So I got Flight at number 10. Moving on to number 9, I have Afterthought, who still hasn't announced their org, but they do have a team house. And I think the chemistry there, if I had to pick a team that I'm going to have in my bottom 3 to make a run at it, I would probably have Afterthought as that team. Once again, this team doesn't wow me either. I think one of the most, maybe not concerning things, but in Lawler's Brawl that he had recently, Dapper was the last pick. Now, that might be saying something, that might not be saying something. I'm not really sure. And Sathu has been around, Space Station obviously got elevated to another level once they kicked Sathu. These players have a lot to prove on the field, and I think they want to do it. I just don't know if they have it in them. I think the public perception of these guys, or the public, or the pro perception, is that these guys are slightly worse than most RLCS players. That's why I have them at number 9. But that team house, that chemistry, who knows? This could be one of those teams that makes a move and moves up, but I have them at number 9, so going into the promotion tournament. Once again, 8th seed and 9th seed go into the promotion tournament this season. 10 is automatically relegated to the rival series. Moving on to number 8, EUnited. One of the teams that I was surprised that didn't make a roster move. We talked about it in the last video where a lot of these roster moves I felt like this season just weren't that great. I think EUnited had a place here to really upgrade their team. It was a little bit, again, of a Cinderella story for them where they were getting outclassed in a lot of their games. If you look at their stats, tons of games where they got outscored or outshot like crazy, but they always had that really good defensive play to a counterattack that got them big wins throughout the season. And they definitely deserve their world championship spot, but I do feel like there was room for improvement for this team. And I think, honestly, it probably would have been better for this team in Season 9, at least, if they lost in the playoffs last season. Because if they lost in the playoffs, they probably make a roster move. They probably upgrade this team a bit, and maybe they're trying to fight for a top 6 spot instead on my rankings. But I think they got in, not necessarily by their own merit or not by their own merit. I just don't value this team very highly. Like, I think they are an okay team, and I think they'll be battling, between these areas, between, like the 6th place through 10th. Like, I think it could go either way, and I think with a 9-game season, a lot of these guys, if there's one big win, like if Afterthought takes out EUnited, that could change everything around. But I don't know. Like, EUnited just doesn't impress me a lot. Like, I'm one of those guys that will look at stats first and be like, all right, like if you're getting outshot a ton, eventually this will catch up to you. You can't continually make the big play time and time again. Like, eventually I want to see consistent possession, which I don't really see from EUnited. So I have them at 8th going into the season. Moving on, Rogue, the team that's going to be in no man's land. They don't go to the promotion tournament. They don't go to the playoffs to have a chance at the World Championship. Rogue, they replaced AJ. They bring in First Killer. It really depends on where Kronovi and Wonder, like how they're playing. Like First Killer, like I think he'll look impressive at times, but I think always the big question mark was the inconsistency of Wonder. Kronovi last season was relatively quiet as well. Rogue, to me, is one of those teams, again, just kind of mediocre. AJ was probably their one spark that could really elevate them to a top 4 spot from time to time, and he's gone. First Killer might be able to do that as well, but with the competition there is in NA right now, I think Rogue is in 7th. Moving on, Ghost Gaming, number 6, which is basically where they've been for the past 8 years. Ghost Gaming, they pick up Mist over Memory. It might be a slight upgrade. We kind of talked about this in roster moves. It might just be Mist teammates with Pittsburgh Knights compared to Memory's teammates with Ghost made Mist look better than Memory. Like, I think these guys are pretty similar. Personally, if I was going to make a roster move, I would have dropped Illusion over Memory, personally. Like, I don't think this improves Ghost enough to really make it to that next level. But I don't know. I just hope to see Ghost play a little bit more offense. That's really what I want to see from Ghost. A lot of their teams have always been built around defense. But by now, like, Ghost has changed so much that these names don't matter anymore. Like, Ghost Gaming is not the same Ghost Gaming from even 2 seasons ago. Like, people are just filing in and out of this team. Even First Killer joins and leaves before the season even starts. Ghost Gaming, to me, is just, like, I need to see them build a new identity this season on the offensive side of the field. And if they don't do that, I don't think they're going anywhere. Cloud9, number 5 for my league play. Cloud9 had a miserable season last season. Like, it was rough. But it's still Cloud9. And I think if there was an off-season event, like a major LAN, I think Cloud9 would have had a shot to make another Day 3 appearance. Like, say there was a DreamHack or something like that. Cloud9's a very talented team. Just last season, man, they're just like nothing went right for them. One of the things I'll probably bring up a lot on the desk is like their boost starving game was miserable. They were like dead last in all those categories. They did not take any of the small pads on the other side of the field, any of the large pads. Like, they were dead last in large pads, and I think only Pittsburgh Knights was worse at small pads taken on the like opponent's side of the field. Cloud9, like, if they can just collect a few of those and boost starve a little bit more and then play at their fast pace, maybe this works out for them. But they didn't play fast at all last season. Gimmick looked lost at times. I feel like Squishy needed to be a little bit more aggressive, and Torment was playing a really deep third man. Maybe because, the entire team just wasn't working, so they would lose possession a lot. But these guys need to get on the aggressive side of the ball again. And Cloud9, I think, has a real good shot at making a top 4 bid this season and will be in the mix once again. One note, while I'm recording this, I think I'm going to air this on Wednesday, but I recorded this during the Astro tournament that's going on right now. Right now, Cloud9 and Energy are about to battle in the semifinals. Ghost Gaming is in the other semifinal. But still, here's how I rank them. Either way, based on that Astro tournament. Because, again, it's a small online tournament, so I'm not too worried about the results there. But here's what I have. Next up, the Pittsburgh Knights at number 4. I think this AJ move is very, very questionable for Pittsburgh Knights, and it could dismantle this team. I think it's a risk not worth taking right now. normally, like, I'm on the side of, like, hey, make roster moves to improve your team. There's better players out there. Go ahead and do that. But Pittsburgh Knights was one of those teams, just felt like the chemistry was there. And I really worry about bringing in AJ on the defensive side of the ball. I think it could really mess up Pittsburgh Knights' rotations. And I worry for them. I think, out of my top 4 teams, like, I think Pittsburgh Knights has a chance to, like, drop out to, like, where Rogue is. Like, I think there is that chance, like, if they go on a losing streak early, with how confident these guys are, or at least Rlcs is, like, what happens if they lose the first 2 or 3? Does everything dismantle at that point? So I think Pittsburgh Knights could be in danger, but they could also just be number 2 in NA again. But I side more on they'll be in the middle somewhere. Like, I don't think it'll explode, but I don't think it'll be as good as last season, so I got them number 4. Moving on, number 3, G2 eSports. There's clearly not much that we've seen from G2 throughout this offseason. I'm more going on faith at this point. I think G2, what they showed the season prior with their offensive possession and what they can do with the ball as a team when they're just dismantle in that midfield. G2 eSports is a deadly team. I think it was one off season where they just looked terrible. Or not the off season, but one off season 8. I think G2 bounces back this season. I think they get a top 3 spot. So that's where I have them there. G2 eSports at number 3. Going on faith here. Sorry, G2 fans. Now you're probably going to finish like 8th. Space Station Gaming, my number 2 team. We talked about this earlier. Astro Tournament, they actually lost in their first round. But hey, you know what? Who cares? Space Station Gaming, I think Arsenal's the real deal. I really love Arsenal on this team. I think what he does to dismantle the defenses of other teams. Space Station looks strong at the World Championship. And I think they're just going to elevate their game. I'm predicting that Space Station gets even better this season, maybe a little bit more team play oriented, because I do feel Space Station at times is a very solo play team. When they do get that aggressiveness going, then they kind of slow it down, go for the solo play, and try and beat out a player. I want to see a little bit more of a passing game coming out of them. We started to see it at the World Championship, and I think we'll see it even more this season. So it's my prediction for them that I think they'll get number 2. Maybe not easily, because I don't think there's going to be any spot that's easily gotten, but I'm going to give number 2 to Space Station here. At number 1, Energy. You can't go against the world champs here. Energy, not only are they world champs, but they dominate NA all the time. It's so boring for Energy at this point. It just seems like they can just beat anyone here. And the best part is, now that it's 9 games, I feel like all these other teams could trade wins, even against the lower end, Flight and Afterthought. Like, Energy is not losing to these bottom 4, in my opinion. Now, of course, they lost to Rogue last season, but whatever, you know. I don't think Energy is going to lose to any of these bottom 4. While the other guys, I think, could lose one series to them, and I think, like, Energy is just going to build that gap, and they should beat everyone in North America. They'll probably lose one, you know, just because it's very hard to go 9-0. But Energy is just so talented. And they just have NA's number. Pretty simple. Not that hard of a prediction for Energy at number 1. But here's my list. We'll run it down. So this is league play predictions. I do think there's going to be a real big fight in that 3 through 5 range of who makes it to the World Championship. But these are my early league play predictions. Obviously, World Championship predictions will be different when we get there. But we got Energy, Space Station. And then after that, I really do feel like G2, Cloud9, Pittsburgh Knights. Any 2 of these 3 can make it, but for league play purposes, we got G2, then we got Pittsburgh Knights, then we got Cloud9, then Ghost Game, and at number 6, like always, Rogue will be in that no man's land spot, no playoffs, no promotion tournament, just sitting pretty. EUnited and Afterthought will go to the promotion tournament at 8th and 9th, respectively, and Flight will be auto-relegated in the 10th spots. Even with the memory pickup, where I think it's the second best roster move, I think there's just too much of a hill to climb for Memory to get this team out of the basement. So I got Flight at number 10. So these are my league play predictions. Predict yours down below. Don't just hate on my predictions, because, you know, that's fine to do anyway on YouTube. But if you're going to hate on them, back them up. Put your predictions in. Don't edit it throughout the season, and we'll see who's on top at the end. But that is it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll have your predictions tomorrow. But for now, we'll catch you later.